Welcome back, friends. I had the privilege of volunteering with the Ventana Wilderness Alliance in Big Sur at the beginning of March 2025. We did brushing and trail work on the North Coast Ridge Trail. The trail starts where the North Coast Ridge Road ends and stops at Cone Peak after a 13-mile hike. The trail is part of a loop for the Lost Valley Connector.
This is the best part about swamping in this wind.
Doing trail work for the Forest Service is a rewarding way to give back to public lands, and it keeps trails in good shape to prevent environmental damage. Working in remote areas builds survival skills, backcountry navigation abilities, hands-on experience with tools, and is mentally refreshing by providing a deep connection to nature.
Yesterday there was sun.
Yesterday I was doing tread work. Today I'm lopping brush from the trail, except for this one. It's an oak tree.
Go BWA! Yay! Okay, I think that's good, guys. Okay.
Our base camp for the weekend was at a private cabin near the trailhead, but I camped in the driveway. There were amazing views of the Pacific Ocean 4,000 feet below Marble Peak, and cooking dinner at sunset on the patio was a plus. There was an Overland Expo in Costa Mesa the weekend after my trail work experience. A big reason why I attend these events is to find products I didn't know I needed. One of the first things I found is going to make trail work a whole lot easier.
I'm Rob Figueroa. This is Forest Tool Company, and our product is the Max Toolkit. It's a multi-tool kit, 8-in-1. The background of the tool is that the original owner and designer saw a need for the Forest Service to have a multi-tool kit that they can carry into forest fires, and as a backup kit because of all the other tools that they use. So it became an 8-in-1 toolkit. Furthermore, we have some history too with the military, and we actually replaced the old Pioneer toolkit that used to go into the Jeeps on a rack, and the owner actually was at a show like this, and the Army was walking through, serendipitously, and decided, oh, this would solve all my problems in terms of weight and space that I have in the Humvee. So this became the Pioneer toolkit that the Army ended up using.
That's kind of cool for two reasons. I really like Jeeps, especially World War II Jeeps.
Yes. And
I do trail work for the Forest Service.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, so we got some nice history with the toolkit. Well, like I said, it's an 8-in-1 toolkit, and the tools are the mallet. This is one. The second one, obviously, being the axe. The axe always stays on. It's an axe-based toolkit. Okay. And then we've got the shovel, number 3 tool, chisel 4, pick 5, the mattock 6, and then the McLeod, which is the rake and the hoe, make the 7 and the 8.
So can you turn that into a Pulaski and a McLeod for me?
Yeah,
I want to see what
absolutely. So all the magic happens here at this notch for the toolkit. As you can see, it's a unique design that we have, and all the attachments use this notch right here. For our Pulaski, the mattock goes in as such. It's opposite taper, so the more it uses friction to really hold it in place. But we also have cotter pins that we insert for safety. The more you use it, the more you slam into the ground, the more it gets jammed in there. So it really stays in well. If it's a little jammed up, all we do is we use another one of the tools and we give it a little smack and release it. Okay. Same concept applies to the pick and the chisel. And then our McLeod is the one that uses the notch a little differently. So our McLeod tool goes over the top on the hoe side, and then the rake side, and then we have a fastener that goes in through, and then you tighten it down. And as you can see, it's not going anywhere. It's the nice thing about with the McLeod is that because the axle stays fixed, you have a little leverage, a little weight behind it. So whenever you are trying to break ground or get through some roots, it's helpful, especially doing trail work.
There's another reason why I enjoy attending these events, and it's not the food. I come for the classes and to make new friends. I was able to talk to Milo in private and get his perspective on a few things I have questions about.
Today's presentation is going to be about the art of storytelling. And I'm going to share a few things that have been foundational for me for the last over 20 years. That's how long I've been photographing with a camera. So as a Navajo person, we get 2 clans from my mom and then 2 from your father. And that's how you say, this is who I am, this is how I am, one of the holy 5-fingered people walking on Mother Earth as a Diné person. The very last thing we say, or we share, is our name. So in the English language, I go by the name Milo. And that's so important to us as Navajo people because that allows us to know who we're related to. Last night I jokingly said, one thing that we believe in is clans before plans. And so for me, I kind of took, instead of the 405, I took PCH in that route, so I married a blonde with beautiful blue eyes. When I was a little kid, about 2nd grade, my great-grandmother lived next door to us, and every winter she lived with us, and I'm the only boy in the family. And my father said, there's a lot of these responsibilities, but one of your top priorities is to make sure the fire goes day and night so that grandma is warm. And so my dad traveled around the world a lot. Sometimes I saw my old man about 2 to 3 months out of the entire year. And so whenever he was home, it was like, man, Dad, I want to go do this with that, this, that with you. So my great-grandmother shared this story one time where the dogs, the cows, the sheep, the horses, all of our livestock were kind of going crazy late in the night. And she went outside to see what was going on. Out on the reservation, your animals are very important. She thought there was coyotes, but she looked up and she saw the northern lights there. And so I shared that story so many times with a lot of people, and they're like, dude, that's not possible. The northern lights only happen in Alaska, Canada, Iceland, north of this, line. I was like, oh no, I believe my grandmother more than science. There's so much that she shared with me that is so vital and critical. One thing about storytelling, I think, is that really being able to share something that's intimate and important to you. One thing that's a measuring stick for me is I look down at my nails. If they're clean, then that's an indicator that it's been too long since Bubblegum and I, did something that she really loves, is like go camping. She doesn't care if it's freezing cold outside or really warm or whatnot. She looks at the temperature, she gets on the iPad, looks at the apps, the weather patterns, and then she finds where we should go, what we should pack, what we should eat. And that's important to us because we want to teach our kids responsibility. If you want to go do this, then you got to plan, you got to prepare. You want to buy a car, you're only in 5th grade right now, go set up a snow cone shop. Last summer, our son made $300. So the beauty of a storytelling, I think, is really sharing something that might be personal to you, because a lot of us have those experiences that are very intimate, that when we come across something like that, that may trigger a memory that allows us to reconnect with an experience that we had at some time in our past. Being able to share these things that happen so close to us. I said, hey, hon, instead of having date night at sushi, why don't we just drive 40 minutes out to the Bonneville Salt Flats? Let's grab some games, let's get some cards, set up the tent for some light, and then let's just have a date night out there. Simple, profound. And so in photography, do it. It might be, going out into the freezing cold. About a month ago, I camped out in outside of Yellowstone. Every night it got between -22 and -39, and I was warm. I don't have a space heater or an electric heater. It's just a 0-degree bag inside a -20 bag. And
okay, so what are pre-drive checks? Well, by way of sort of background in this, if you've got a vehicle and you're going out into the middle of nowhere because you don't like people, which I find is something that a lot of people can resonate with at this event, is that they don't really like people, and that's why they're here, to get a vehicle so they can get away from people, right? By design, going away from where help is immediately available, right? And your vehicle is typically your lifeline. You're not four-wheeling, you're not like trying to crush the universe. Your house is on the back, whether you're in a Subaru or whether you're in a big camper. So you want to make sure that vehicle, and have the confidence to make sure that vehicle is going to take you where you need to go and bring you back. Because if you get stranded out in the middle of nowhere, your friends are going to laugh at you, and it could go a lot worse than that. People have died from stupid mistakes. I won't say stupid, like oversights and things like that out in the middle of nowhere. Especially, middle of nowhere in Australia is a long way from help. So the whole point about a pre-drive check is to try and prevent something from going wrong with the vehicle, right? So it's much better to catch a bolt coming loose than to catch it after the bolt has fallen out. It's a lot better to catch the wheel coming loose than to discover it passing you as you're driving down the road, because amusingly enough, if a wheel comes off a vehicle, it will actually pass you. And so then you can see your wheel going down the road, and then you realize you've lost all of your lug nuts and you may not be able to put that wheel back on.
Do you have any advice for vehicles with high mileage, like in excess of 200,000 miles?
For the checks, yeah. I mean, the checks are going to be the same sort of thing. A couple of things we can do with high mileage vehicles. One is to give you the confidence to keep going with a high mileage vehicle. I would get your oil tested when you change your oil. So there's a company called Blackstone Labs. I think they're in Virginia. You send them an oil sample. They will see how much additive is left in the oil, what metals are in the oil, so they can tell if your bearings are coming apart, because they know what metals are in the bearings, in the oil pump, things like that. They can also tell if there is coolant in the oil. They can tell, all of those things, and it will give you a lot more confidence that your engine is actually doing what it's supposed to do, which is stay together, right? We are in a nice, beautiful campsite, right? We've just driven all day yesterday to get here. Question is, when do we do this check, right? When do we do a pre-drive check? I highly recommend you do this first thing in the morning. The car is cool, right? You're not going to burn yourself on exhaust pipes and things like that. Any leaks will now be more evident because more stuff will have leaked out. That's mainly a Land Rover thing, but other things can leak too. And also you are fresh, right? You've just had a good night's sleep. When you first get into camp, it's always nice to just enjoy that you've just arrived in camp. Like, it's a beautiful place. You're gonna make some food, we're gonna have a drink, whatever, right? Radiators, intercoolers, AC condensers, all of those fin things at the front like to trap grass seeds, mud, all of that sort of stuff. So look in here and just look to see what you got. Then finally, after all of that said, we're gonna do the fun thing and get under here. One thing to think about: if there's a leak at the front of the engine, especially with coolant, and it hits the fan, it's gonna spray stuff on the bottom of the hood. So great tip is to open the hood and just look up here, just see if there's anything on it, right? Gives you a good indication of a leak. What are we gonna check under here? We're not pulling the engine apart, right? We can't check, we're not checking spark plugs, we're not checking injectors, we're not doing things like that. What's that?
Cracks and fluid levels?
Yes, fluid levels, absolutely. Cracks would be sort of leaks and things like that, right? So fluid levels, leaks. So belts and hoses, fluid levels, and electrical connectors are pretty much what I'm gonna be looking at in here. How many of you have seen fun pictures on the internet of a burned out vehicle in the middle of the outback? You should all have seen that because it's fun to look at and scary to think about, right? 99% of the time, those are accessories that people have added to vehicles where they've wired it badly, it's gone around a sharp edge, and it's just sitting there vibrating on a sharp corner. Takes the insulation off the wire, shorts out, starts a fire, and then you watch your truck burn in the middle of the desert and you have a bad day, right? So one of the key things to look at is going to be especially accessory wiring.
But hopefully, you are here today to find awesome dispersed campsites. Woo! So who here is a dispersed camper? All right. Who here is thinking about it? Okay, you're in the right place. Congratulations. You know, when I started doing this, I grew up in Pennsylvania. I moved to Colorado about 10 years ago, and I was a tent camper, and we started camping in the West, and it was windy sometimes, and it was cold sometimes, and we just realized that it was a different type of camping, right? We could potentially, we heard, even camp in these places that weren't campgrounds, down dirt roads. And when I started doing that, I did not have a lot of confidence in how to do it. Sometimes I got frustrated, and I wasn't always sure, you know, if I was legally where I was supposed to be or doing what I was supposed to do. And so I just sort of want to share 10 years later some of the things I've learned, and also talk about how to find those really special sites that are the really awesome sites for you and what you want to do. And so hopefully you take something away that helps you do that today. All right, so this is what I was saying a little bit before. I'm a little bit less of a planner. I like to prepare. For me, that means a ready option. So as you see this today, I won't say this is where I'm camping on Tuesday. I'll say this area looks like it has at least 3 cool sites. I'll check it out on the ground, and maybe I'll camp in the 4th site that I didn't even see when I was preparing before I left, or when I was researching ahead of time.
Again, I'm Chef Corso, head chef and founder of Outdoor Eats, and I'm on a mission to elevate the outdoor food experience beyond just packaged meals, beyond just dry, salty options. I've been in the food industry for over 25 years. I've been running Outdoor Eats for the last 6 or so. I'm from the Great Pacific Northwest and love getting outside, love cooking, and love sharing. So I started Outdoor Eats and kind of married 2 of my passions, both as the hiker, backpacker, adventurer with the chef kind of element. And what I noticed when I was first starting backpacking specifically is that it's the same old stuff. The outdoor cooking hasn't changed in decades. So we're going to make 2 recipes here in our time this afternoon. We're going to make a pork mango fried rice, a quick tasty dish that is very, very delicious, as well as a Triscuit panzanella. That's a great no-burner option, no-burner recipe. So that's the other thing about Outdoor Eats recipes too, is the ingredients, a lot of them you probably have in your pantry right now. I'm not interested in you going on a special order and a special journey to get all this crazy gourmet stuff to be able to cook these meals. 10 ingredients or less, 30 minutes or less, go to the store, get out there, cook it, and then eventually share it. So that's the whole thing about Outdoor Eats, is to share the experience. We're going out with our partner and with our friends and our family, share that outdoor experience, have a great meal to be able to do that together. And you know, when I went to culinary school, my goal was not to open up my own restaurant. I respect a good restaurant, I respect a good dining experience, but it just wasn't, I didn't need Corsos on the corner. It just wasn't what I needed, but I love food, and I love sharing, and want to figure out how to still be in the industry and not have to work all these hard weekends and things. So when I was about 25, I was able to get a position as a research chef. And what that means is that I was testing and developing new food products for the grocery store. Then I eventually worked for Starbucks. You might have heard of it. But I worked for their corporate office and worked on their Starbucks Reserve brand. But what's crazy is they laid me off, they put me on a severance package, it was all fine, I'm not mad at them. But it gave me time. So like 2 more weeks, I went out, tested some more recipes, put out the website, and that was 6 years ago. So it was a very interesting door closing, door opening situation, but I get to be outside with you guys, which is great. I'd much rather be here than in a dark dungeon of a kitchen somewhere, cooking brunch and eggs like by the 100. So it's been a very fun transition from indoor chef to outdoor chef. I mean, outdoor cooking should be fun, and again, it's not all gourmet things or things that you have to buy a whole bunch of crazy ingredients for. I want you to go to the store, pack it up, and get out there. So this is our panzanella getting all mixed up. I think it's a little bit dry, so I'm going to keep adding a little bit of moisture. But for the panzanella, when you're using bread or the crackers, it's really important to let it marinate for at least 15 to 30 minutes. But I often like to do this at the end of breakfast, if you're starting a road trip or something. So you're, clean up your eggs and your bacon and stuff, make this, let it marinate, put in your cooler, and then it's ready for you come lunchtime. They're all right side. So here's our Triscuit panzanella. And you can make this your own with whatever colors and veggies. You can throw some broccoli in there, cauliflower, whatever's left over, and just let that marinate. Wow. Look at that. So, big batch of pork mango fried rice. Could be beef. Nice. This can be vegetarian, this can be vegan. You can modify this. Again, this is a great way to clean out your fridge for just a Tuesday, Wednesday night sort of situation. Sesame oil. But it's a combination of a classic Saturday morning food show, which is like a Bobby Flay or Ina Garten, so you're going to learn 3 or 4 recipes each time, combined with the travel show, combined with the adventure show. So if you like any one of those things, then hopefully you'll like Outdoor Eats.
I'm going to end with a few vehicles that caught my eye. This first one reminded me of everyone's friend, Desert Drifter. This was the first Overland Expo to be held in California. My wife and I have attended the Expo in Flagstaff, Arizona for the last 3 years, and we'll go back again this May.